if you look at the evolution of marketing over time, first it was capturing attention-based marketing. It's all about getting attention. So we have, the craziness, to get people's attention so that you can capture their attention. And we know the AIDA formula of salesmanship, attention, interest, desire, action, right? And that's the steps to the sale. That's the steps to marketing. And it still is the case in a lot of respects, because you can't, if you don't get somebody's attention, if they don't give you any focus on what you're talking about, then they can't ever, you don't have an opportunity to build interest and desire and get them to enroll in taking action. And so the next evolutionary step of this stuff is that what I would call mind share. Now, all of this is like important in the beginning to go through this evolution. It's a stair-step process to this. And by the way, all of this is from the perspective of your market, of your audience, of the people that you're looking to influence and do business with. It's their attention. It's their mind share. And what mind share says is, okay, I want to own a particular idea or space in their mind when they think about this idea or when they think about this subject. And for a lot of marketers in the online world, this is where this is as advanced as they get. Most of them are still stuck in the attention world and just the interruption and any kind of attention is good attention. If I can get your attention for a minute, then I've got a shot at it. And you see all of the ads are built around that. The people that are getting cheaper results with their advertising in the online world have graduated to at least a mind share aspect of it, where they've created enough credibility. And the interesting thing about the marketing aspect is that this is all about, like I said, your audience, but it's up to them. They get to choose how they choose to position you. They get to choose when they move from just, a mild interest or an annoyance into an interest, into now you've captured my mind. You've got some intrigue here. You've got some, and so now every time I see something from Brandon, I think on a certain subject, like the 7-figure millennials, I have a particular story that I run in my head, and you own that space in my head, in my mind. And so anything that I ever think about from here on out in that segment is going to be filtered through you. And I'm going to turn to you for the authority that you have with me based upon that space in my mind. Now, you didn't make me do that. You couldn't make me do that. I just did that. Now, that's a very different space. Like if I see an ad from you on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever, I have a very different space that you're now positioned in my mind. So I'm much more open at that point to that. The ultimate, and where I think that particularly in the online world, but offline too, is heart share marketing. And heart share is the third evolution of it, where it's about enrollment. You can't manipulate. You can with attention. You can manipulate with mind share stuff. You can use the fake scarcity countdown timers to create. You can do all of the split A/B testing, and believe me, I've done thousands of split A/B tests in my business career. So I understand the need for scientific testing and all of that. But all of that is to manipulate one step up and improve linearly what is going on without taking notice of your entire ecosystem. And so what you find is that's why your ads burn out quickly, and that's why they're more expensive. Because if you just stay I got to get attention and I got to get competing attention, well, then guess what? It's a hard road to go down, because there's, everybody's attention and focus is scarce, and their job in the online world is to tune out as much as they can. Otherwise, we're going to go insane, right? So that's why it takes so many more eyeballs, so many more impressions, so many more clicks before somebody actually takes an action or makes a buying decision that's important. And so that's what ends up making your ads more expensive, what makes your cost of the customer acquisition, the first time order, more expensive, is because in the beginning, there is no relationship. But if you focused on bringing people through and they go into the mind share, now that becomes a very different place to engage with people. Now, when you see an ad in your news feed, right? If I've elevated and I've given you mind share in my mind, then when I see something from you, I'm going to look at it in a different eyes. I might not have an interest in it, but I'm at least going to give it a shake before I delete it. Depending on my mood or whatever, and depending on the strength of the relationship or the perceived relationship that I have with you, that's running my mind share. Heart share is how do I'm enrolled in your vision. I want to be a part of what you're up to. Enrollment versus salesmanship, and it cannot ever be manipulated because it's 100% on the other person's side. The interesting thing to take into consideration there is you can offer it, you can make it conducive, you can offer ideas, but you can't create. Like heart share is not like capturing mind share or capturing attention. It's really, heart share is something that they share with you, that you occupy a space in their heart that they let very few people into. Yeah, it's when they say, you are my guru, you are my Oprah. I will look to you on any subject because of who you are and the relationship that you're my trusted advisor. The thing that's interesting to note is that it still has to go through attention, mind share, then heart share. So from enrollment, well, you can focus on just the enrollment aspects and heart share aspects, but it's up to them, and you can make it as conducive as possible. And really, usually what that means is that you allow people, you love them and let them grow. You allow people to be where they are, and you take into consideration that when you're a complete stranger to them, that they're naturally distrustful, that they don't like you, they don't even know what you have to offer, and they're going to be immediately thinking of you as you're an asshole. Now, maybe it's not that drastic, but that is what I often use in my A to A framework to make sure that people understand that this is their conversations. If they're a complete stranger, if you go in assuming that that's what their story themes are about you, in their mind, in their heart, in their attention, then it's easy to see why somebody isn't going to give you the time of day if they're stuck in that standpoint. And your job is to make that as friction-free as possible to move to the next mental conversation. You can't go from having somebody think of you as an asshole and jump right to, you are my trusted advisor, my Oprah on this subject in one jump. It's kind of like, I in the Profit, I go through the actual steps of the process. And if you want to share, I broke down the 7 steps in an email training series, so we can share that link if you want with people. And I'm fine with that, and they can see it for themselves and see how it all works. The interesting thing is, it's like if you enter in the process, if you enter you want to enter their space without them being pushing back on you. And so, the example that I like to use is Cesar Millan, the dog whisperer. When his first rule of contact, when he's going into a pack or when he's going into a dog situation, is no touch, no talk, no eye contact. And you'll see him when he does it episode after episode, whether they're aggressive, whether they're hyper, whatever the issue is with the dog, when he comes in, eventually the dog starts to come to them and sniff around. And that's the dog telling him that they're interested in exploring maybe more and seeing if there's something here. They're not going to be aggressive because he's not being aggressive. It's not standoffish. So in that stage, you basically just want to enter their awareness without them, and some of the ways to do that is just to, stop trying to sell them on it. Enter their awareness, share something of value, give them an insight that's going to be like, oh, wow, I didn't think about that in that capacity. So that they go, well, maybe you're not such an asshole. Let me explore more. And then they go to, you're just a pest. And from just the pest, it's still the same thing. Like that's not an opening to start saying, well, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread and whatever. You've got them easing into the situation. Now you don't want to blow it by challenging them too quick in the dog world, right? And so you allow it to unfold naturally. And basically the early stages is just about entering their state of awareness without them balking at it. And if they do balk at it, then trying a different approach to enter that awareness on a different level, because it doesn't mean that they're not interested in what they have, but they're never going to be able to give you any focus and attention if you don't get past this hurdle. The opt-in happens. At a minimum, they have to believe that you're at the third level. The story theme that they have about you at the third level is what I call you're on probation. It's the probationary concept. Notice, though, that all three of these conversations are fear-based. Now, they have to elevate you in their mind to at least putting you on probation before they're willing to opt in, right? Now, you can do things to force them through, like you can pique their curiosity and then put them through a squeeze page. But now, where are we going? What are you optimizing for? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want somebody that you're forced in to squeeze, or do you, just so that you can have bragging rights for a 70% or 60% opt-in rate? Or do you want the right people opting in that you want, that you can work with, that you can actually serve and help? So, I mean, that's just kind of tying it backwards. But they have to, at minimum, be willing to put you on probation. Now, probation, again, does not mean that they're ready to buy anything or even trust you to any degree. It's still what basically it means is that they're saying to themselves, damn it, I hate myself, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued but Brandon, you got 1 foot on a banana peel and, 1 foot in my mental space. And I'm just, basically what I'm saying at this stage when I'm putting you on probation is I'm saying, go ahead and hurry up and say something stupid like I know you're gonna, so that I can go back to thinking of you as an asshole and get back to my daily routine, because I hate myself that I'm even giving you any of this time right now because I've been screwed so many times before. Please don't hurt me type thinking. All of that is fear-based conversations, right? And it's not linear like this either. I mean, there's elements of all of this, but it's easy to start thinking about it in these compartments, because it's just the journey of how somebody goes from a complete stranger to trusted advisor. And it's really just depth of relationship building. The fourth step, and by the way, the fourth step is not where the sales takes place either. Is the fourth step is like, oh, now you're just like me. Wow, you're just like me. Now, sometimes the probation and the just like me and, I like what you have to say happens all in, really, really fast, like it did with you and me. Like we immediately bonded, we connected, and boom. So I didn't go to the probationary period. I went all the way to the fifth step with you immediately, because we just connected there. But the thing that I want people to realize is that when you're just like me, we don't buy from people who are our best friends, who are our drinking buddies down at the bar. We might or might not, but basically, just because they're the same as us, they're just like us, does not mean that they have a right to guide us or that have any kind of credibility with us to on a particular subject. So this is where people get screwed up a lot, right? Because they think, well, I got to know, like, and trust. How many times have you heard the steps to the sales? You got to, know them, like them, and trust them. Well, really, the like and the trust part, there's a piece missing with the trust. And because they're still not going to create a buying conversation necessarily. I might trust you as a friend. I might trust your opinion on something, but I'm not going to think of you as a leader in my life or as somebody that I should actually listen to on this particular subject until and unless I offer you the elevated place of respect, which is the authority conversation. You are an authority level conversation. So it's know, like, trust, and respect you on a particular subject. Those are what have to take place prior to me being willing to spend $1 with you. And now you can see why the first sale, the front end sale in marketing channels and circles, is the most expensive. That's why I built, $100 million plus business model around going negative. Like the first front end sale was was an average of $50, right? And the cost of the sale was generally somewhere around $100 to $120 to create that $50 sale on average. The reason it's so expensive is because you actually have to do that. It also relates back to what we were talking about earlier with the, Quo Vadis blindness, which is like, where are we going? What are we optimizing for? What are we looking to create here? And the thing that you need to really kind of dig into with this is like you can have great mind share and you can make money on the front end. You can do these type of, free plus shipping and handling, or quote unquote tripwire offers to ease people in. And you can then upgrade them, and you have that entire upsell funnel and cross sell. And, as somebody that actually forgot that he was the creator and inventor of the one-click upsell, which is another story entirely. Believe me, I understand how that's important, and so that you can get the maximum dollar value out. However, is that really what you're kind of customer that you're optimizing for? When I started the 2 Comma Club back in 2006, I started it with a free plus shipping, like the first 2 issues, 60 days free, just pay the shipping and processing in 2006. Now, by the way, I had modeled it after a business model that I created in 1999 so I've been doing this stuff for a long time. Now it's like standard operating procedures, because what's happening is that somebody will take a flyer for, $7, $10, even $27. But they might not have any commitment to you or to the thing or whatever. But now you get them into the, you can do that all with Mindshare. You can do that all with capturing attention, right? Like attention-based marketing and Mindshare marketing. And can you make money on the front end? Absolutely. You still can, particularly in the online world, because everybody, wants to do everything affiliate-based and joint venture-based. So it's all referral marketing. So what they don't realize is that they have very little chops in the cold advertising space. But let's just say that they're making money with some sort of low resistance offer on the front end, that they're actually making money, or that within, 3 days, they're to break even or the positive, because they've got their metrics all worked out and organized. What kind of customer does that create? And for me, after working very scientifically, running the 2 Comma Club for 4 years straight, and and running that model, and by the way, it was super successful. I had I think it was 5,000 or 6,000 people a month paying me the $50 a month average for the subscription. So it was a good chunk of money, but I actually shut it down at its peak because I did not like the type of customer that it bred. And they weren't the people, and that was in 2009 into 2010, in that time frame where I shut it down. And it was because of the way that they were being enrolled. It was too easy. They didn't have commitment. They didn't have the desire to truly build something. They didn't get the true value out of the materials that I had for them because of the way that they were enrolled. Did I make a lot of money? Yes. Did it have great conversions? You bet. But did it work long term? No. Not for what I was optimizing for, not what I was building for. And the lifetime value of that customer was the percentages of the people that would do business with me deeper were much, much lower. So I had to have, thousands of subscribers in order to get a few good clients, just because cream rises to the top. Whereas now you take like a Jeff Walker business model, where I don't know if it's still this way for Jeff, but for many years, and it probably still is, like his first front end product was a $2,000 product launch formula program, which is his low end, right? And I think he does 2 open enrollments a year or something like that, or maybe it's only 1 now where he open enrollments. But what he does the rest of the year is build credibility, build value, create an impact, give insights, give value all across the through his videos, through the YouTube channel, all of the, his ideas and concepts. And the act of buying and enrolling in his product launch formula, the value that he creates there as he's marketing to people is valuable. Like usually he could sell that part of it for several $100s, just the value that he's creating, that he's using as the enrollment mechanism. But his goal is not to have low-end products. Now, is he leaving money on the table? Very likely he is, but not for what he's looking to do. He wants to, so then he upgrades them to the, his inner circle group and his mastermind group and all of that. And I don't know, but the last time I tuned in, Jeff is one of these people that is real clear on what he wants, lifestyle, what he's looking to build. So he probably has his number when, all I need is, or all I want right now is to work with 100 people in this group per year or something like that. And it doesn't matter that he could have more, that he could be bigger numbers, because he's looking to create what he's looking to create as the lifestyle would have it. And he's brilliant. And he does it the right way. I think, unfortunately, his methods have been prostituted and have turned into a quote unquote business model. But all it is just, like Jeff and the people that really get what he's doing and are following him, they're building real businesses. It's kind of like Apple, right? They do product launches every year or so, and they do big launches, but it's not this and then over. It's this and this, it stair steps up. And that's exactly right. So it's not like, are you looking for a cash flow? Well, if you're looking just for cash flow, get yourself a commission sales job, because you're always going to be starting all over on Monday, unemployed again. Yeah, so there's enough respect where now I look at you as you are an authority on this subject, whatever the subject is. Maybe it's widgets. And now I see why, but I believe that you are an authority. I have elevated you to a mental themed conversation or story that I'm making up about you, that you're an authority on X, widgets, whatever. Now, when you make me an offer, because what you've done is you've gained my attention, you've built extreme interest. Otherwise, I would never, ever be willing to elevate you to an authority, respect-based conversation. And you've now built up that rapport level with me enough or deep enough where I'm willing to trust you enough and respect you enough to make a buying decision. Now, that buying decision might be to exchange money with you personally on some level. Or it might be to trust you that when you say, hey, you need to go check out Joshua or Dan, for example, that because I now respect your opinion so much that I now go to Dan's site, and you don't just tell me to go to Dan's site, you say, you need to buy this or whatever, however you do it. The halo effect now spills over. And because of the rapport, the respect, the authority that you have with me, I make a buying decision instantly. Now, it could be easy to think that Dan now went through all that journey that quick and that everything that I just said is bullshit. No, what happened was that you had the halo effect and that he just hijacked, if you will, our relationship. But if he came at me cold and we didn't have that kind of rapport, then what would have happened is that it would be the same journey going on. That's why in the internet space, when, affiliate marketing and joint ventures and all these endorsements, it's really a false sense. Like if something works in an endorsement state of mind or in a product launch state of mind, that's just a syndicate where they're passing the same dollar around through the launches. Like you launch this week and I'll put everybody to your launch. I launch next week. You're going to put me and everybody else to my launch. And basically all we're doing is we're passing the same dollar around strategically. But what ends up happening is that, well, first of all, the customer, the client loses because nothing ever gets accomplished because they're always distracted with the next bright, shiny object that comes along. And they don't get any value from whatever it is that they've engaged in because now they're just addicted to, the next launch or the next thing that's going to fix me. And so it breeds into that the business opportunity mindset of, buying stuff and letting them sit on the shelf or bitching about the next person that screwed me and that lied to me that it didn't work. So the tangent there is an important one to get because it's tied right into the cost of that first sale. Now, it doesn't mean that you have heart share marketing with me yet when you're an authority. You have an authority, but you can screw that up bad. If you step out of line one time, because in a sense, you're still on a certain kind of probation, like, all right, please, I'm going to buy from you. I'm going to trust you enough. Don't betray the respect that I'm showing you to take action based on your recommendation. If you do, if there's an incongruency, if there's the slightest thing, even if it's subliminal and you don't know it in your process, like 8,000 upsells before you can exit out of there and a forced continuity that you can't ever unsubscribe from and this and that, yeah, you make a lot of money, but you burn bridges because I'm never going to do business with you again. And that's still at that first sale is fragile. It's fragile. But if you elevate to the next level, which is basically just expectation management, make an offer, make a promise, and then fulfill on that promise, but do it in a way that's even bigger. I think the example that I use in the Profit book is the golden eggs. If in order to elevate you to the sixth level, which is where I'm now looking at you, and that's really like a deep level of influence over me, I now are saying that you're a leader. Right? But if, for example, on the offer where you've got the respect and you've got the authority and I make a purchase and what you told me was that you're getting the goose that lays the golden eggs and you can have as many golden eggs as you want and every week they'll pop out a few more. And then I find out that what actually gets delivered to me is 10 golden eggs. Now, in your mind, you might say, well, shit, I'm giving tons of value. But in my mind, you just screwed me. You lied to me, plain and simple. I mean, they may not express it that way. They may not even know it in their heart that that's what's going on. But that's what they feel at the core. Like you screwed me. You lied to me. Right? Now, if on the other hand, you tell me that you're going to get 5 golden eggs. And you talk about the value of these golden eggs and how they are going to do that. And that's the authority that I make the buying decision on. And when you actually deliver it, in fact, it's 7 or 10 golden eggs as a surprise expectation. Whoa! Now I'm ecstatic. And maybe there's a way that you can, timeshare a golden goose, the goose that lays the golden eggs with somebody downstream. But now you haven't blown any kind of credibility because it was better than what you said it was going to be. It was more value. You actually do care about me as a person, as what I'm trying to accomplish. You're really, truly trying to serve me and help me, accomplish whatever it is that I, made the buying decision about. And so now I'm going to look to you as a leader. And then the final step is basically it's not hard to get, it's time in the saddle to go from you're a leader to you're my trusted advisor, you're my consigliere. I am not going to, it's like the doctor or lawyer principle with somebody. I'm not saying that somebody that you don't have trust with, but if your doctor and you believe them, you trust them, and or a lawyer in the same situation tells you to do X and they give you the prescription or the course of action that you're supposed to do, there's no pushback unless, of course, that it's just you do it. You don't even give it a second thought. And that's the trusted advisor. That's the Oprah effect. And that's the 7th level. And really going from authority through leadership to the trusted advisor side of it, is really just a matter of timing in the saddle. And everybody moves at their own pace, but they get to choose when they elevate you from one to the next to the next. And at any point in time, you can be demoted because it's up to them as to how they think about you. And so like the example that I love using is AntennaGate with Apple and Steve Jobs. How the power of how he handled it. Like when problems occur, when shit happens that's your fault, and when shit happens that isn't your fault but it happens anyway, then the buck stops with you. And by the way, it's going to happen. The shit's going to hit the fan, and that can be an opportunity to increase your heart share with these people, or it can be an opportunity for them to demote you and get really pissed off at you and them's fighting words, right? And then somebody that he had and that Apple had heart share with took it upon themselves to write this song and produce it, called, like when the death grip, when you have the death grip on the phone, then, if you don't like it, don't buy it. And it was hilarious. And it talked all about it. And so what does Steve do? He opens the whole convention playing that song. And even though it was self-serving, but what he's doing also is then he's going to spin the whole thing. By the end of it, you're like, if you're not an Apple zealot, you're like, you have to be after this, because he's enrolled you, or you've enrolled yourself in what he's doing. But now and he gave you something. But also what he did was, when he showed that video, it wasn't his, he didn't produce it, he didn't know that it existed, but he ended up adding it to his press conference, to his big, announcement. What does that say to the person that did it and the rest of the Apple community? That he cares about them. And that he's acknowledging them, that he sees them, so now it makes more people want to take up defense of Apple when anything happens. Try to tell somebody that an Apple product is inferior, that's a true Apple believer, and they're going to tell you, why you're absolutely wrong, and irrationally, to the point, like even if it's proven with like scientific evidence that something else is actually better and has better functionality, does not matter to us, and I'm part of that group, right? Like it's a part of our DNA almost, and if you tie it all together with what we said in the beginning about the Fred stories and the Quo Vadis blindness and all of that, and you tie it all in, and now you're rowing your boat in a direction that you want to be rowing in, and you know who you want to serve and who you can serve and who you want to create, and equally as important is who you don't want. Like that whole journey of asshole to advisor is the people that you don't want. You want them to continue to opt out and think of you as an asshole, because you don't want them, because you can't serve them, right? Instead of trying to appeal to everybody all the time, you now narrow it down. And I guess the one thing that I think might make this a little bit more clear, at least on the 7 levels, is simply this: that marketing is just a story of relationship building. And really, all of us have mental conversations that we're running in our head. And as a marketer or a business person, you're entering your prospects or your audience's mental conversations, but you can't enter it where you are and what you want. You've got to enter what the conversation that's already going on in their mind in order to, and you, depending on where you're entering and the amount of credibility and respect and rapport that you have with them, you may or may not be able to direct it quickly to something else. You may have to go through the journey of elevating their conversations and just tweaking it from, the asshole conversation, mental conversation that they're running about you, to you're a pest. And it's a lot easier to make that bridge, and then pest to probation to, hey, you're just like me, actually. And then you're just like me to authority, leadership, and advisor. And if you just use those 7 as a theme, right, as a story theme to go by, and you think of them as those are the type themed conversations, and you design your videos or your copy or whatever to each of those themes to let them elevate at whatever level and however fast they want to do, I think you'll find that you create a much faster flow through that will actually strategically bring people through a lot quicker, and they go at their own pace. And because they're in the driver's seat, it usually ends up going faster. It depends on which side of the equation. But if you're talking about the marketing and the yang side of the equation and the business development, I would advise people to remember that it's a process of relationship building, and that it's all about emails. And until you get somebody to actually opt in and build a relationship with them that you're in control of on an email basis, you don't have any kind of real in-depth relationship with them. And having said that, your business starts with the first opt-in, just the first one. And so if you focus in on that, whether it's Facebook, whether it's groups, whether it's LinkedIn or whatever, and your goal is to bring people through the A to A process, but the journey that when they get to actually opting in, that they become a part of your communication vehicle, that you're building your own platform via email. So that would be I think the longest missed thing. Right, it's been this way for a long time in the internet world, but I think even it's more prevalent now because it's not sexy. Email's dead. Email doesn't work anymore. Oh yeah, the way you're doing it doesn't work anymore. But whoever's saying that wants to sell you, some other thing that is, quote unquote, the email killer. But it begins and ends there. That's how, if you want to build a long-term business model that has perpetual income, perpetual influence, and perpetual impact that serves people and that elevates like a Jeff Walker type business model, then it's got to be the engine, the heart is email, and building your relationship, your rapport via email. And it only starts with the first one. Like, truly give yourself permission to think about, like, why did you choose the vision that you have? Was it a true vision of your own, or was it somebody else's vision, or did you adapt it? And is that still what you want for what you're looking to create in the world? And, really get clear about that. Now, I would not recommend that you do what I did in 2009 when I came back from Necker Island, which is I pulled the plug on everything within 6 months. And, I wouldn't recommend, but you can do, you don't have to lift the anchor all the way into the boat. You can lift it, into the barge. You can lift it just an inch off the bottom of the ocean, and then the current can start to change it. So if you're clear about where are we going, and where is it that I say, not anybody else, but where is it that I say I want to go? And that I'm clear that that's what I truly want to accomplish with whatever it is that I'm doing, so that when I get there, I'm going to be happy that I'm there, not just about measuring, the different aspects of it. Then the two go hand in hand. And obviously there's a lot more into R&Ding your Fred stories and all of that. And I'm happy to come back and talk more in depth at a different time about any of this stuff. I'm in the process of setting up what I'm calling the Clarity Experiment. And I think you'll find a lot of really valuable insights, including more in depth on Fred and a whole bunch of other stuff, marketing, the yin and the yang side of the equations. And there's a Facebook group and YouTube channel that I'm creating, and it's going from there. But that's the best way to stay in touch. Oh man, awesome. I appreciate you, Brandon. It's so awesome. Thank you.